Joining us right now is Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, who voted to vote for Judge Barrett in person, even if it means wearing a moon suit following his recent COVID-19 diagnosis. Senator, it's good to see you this morning. We hope you're feeling better. Real quick, your take on last week's hearings and if Judge Barrett will be confirmed by Election Day.
Well, first of all, I feel fine. I'm one of the lucky 40% that never had any symptoms whatsoever, so I won't need the moon suit. I think Judge Tony Barrett did a phenomenal job. I think she ran circles around the Democrats is again, they revealed they're not interested in judges. They want super legislators. They're interested in having the Supreme Court be a policymaking arm of the federal government. That's not the intention. It should be a nonpartisan arm of our federal government that really just dispenses justice, that applies the law, doesn't alter it.
Let me move on to really the explosive news this week with the revealing of emails found from Hunter Biden's laptop. Senator, this morning you sent a letter to Mr. Peter Kadzik from Blue Star Strategies. Tell me what you've sent this letter, why you've sent him this letter, and what specifically you're looking for.
Well, try and keep this simple, but Blue Star Strategies is a Democrat-led lobbying firm that represented Bartiromo and, in the United States, trying to get the United States to look favorably on this very corrupt oil company and its corrupt owner. And so what we subpoenaed them for all their records having to do with Bartiromo and their actions with the federal government. We reached out to them after we heard about these and asked them, did you fully comply? And then on October 15th, we saw an email that should have been responsive to our subpoena that we did not receive. And this email describes a December 2nd, 2015 conference call hosted by the White House to discuss Vice President Biden's upcoming trip to Ukraine. Now, what's important about that would have been the trip, we believe, where Vice President Biden made basically laid down the ultimatum, either fire Shokin or you're not going to get $1 billion loan guarantee. And so this should have been responsive. We should have gotten this. And we're trying to then verify, is that a valid email? Is that correct? We should have gotten it. But right now we're just trying to validate, is that a true and genuine email that came off of Hunter Biden's computer? Because then it helps validate the fact that that is, in fact, Hunter Biden's computer or, data downloaded from Hunter Biden's computer.
So just to be clear, the Biden campaign says, well, there was no meeting that ever took place. It wasn't on the schedule. And you, in fact, have this email that reads this. This morning, the White House hosted a conference call regarding the vice president's upcoming trip to Ukraine. Attached is a memo from the Blue Star Strategies team with the minutes of that call, which outlined the trip's agenda and addressed several questions regarding U.S. policy toward Ukraine. You have this note. And you weren't given it before. Why has the FBI been sitting on all of this for a year? Take us back to December of 2019. This is when the FBI was given this information, apparently from Hunter Biden's laptop. A month later, there was a Senate trial trying to impeach President Trump over Ukraine. If the FBI was in possession of these emails from Hunter Biden's computer indicating all of these payouts, why did they not make this public as President Trump was being impeached in the Senate about Ukraine?
Well, of course, that's a $64 question. Now, again, public reports, people talking to the whistleblower, we've spoken with him as well. It seems like he got this sooner than December 2019 and tried to turn it over to the FBI. I think initially they weren't particularly interested in it, but at some point in time they became interested in it and actually issued a grand jury subpoena, which they served on him in December. And that's when the FBI would have taken custody of this computer that's purported to be Hunter Biden's. Now, I think it's pretty odd that, quite honestly, that the Biden campaign, all they've really done to refute or deny any of this is say that the meeting that one of these emails revealed that Vice President Biden had with the number 3 in control of Bartiromo never showed up in his official calendar. Well, there's all kinds of meetings that didn't show up in his official calendar. This one surprised me. This one didn't. Now, the first thing we did after we got contacted by the whistleblower the day after we issued our report on Ukraine was, we contacted the FBI, determine, is this story true? Is it, can you verify any of this? And it took them a couple of days to basically give us no information. So I just sent another letter yesterday because the FBI has a duty to inform us. If they believe this is maybe, Russian disinformation, they should give us a defensive briefing. They should tell us about that. If, for example, they also believe that what information this whistleblower gave us is fraudulent, that would also be a crime, and the FBI should tell us that. So we're trying to suss out of the FBI, what do they know and when did they know it? But the larger question really is, if they had this information, and these are genuine emails, and it would probably reveal all kinds of things that would have been very relevant to the impeachment case, why did they sit on it? Are they covering up just because Hunter Biden might be engaged in things that also maybe should have been investigated and possibly prosecuted? Do we have two systems of justice, one for Democrats, one for Republicans, one for the well-connected versus one for the rest of the Americans? I think that's really probably the larger issue here at play.
Now, there's one email that Fox News has been able to verify. In that email, it indicates that we're going to hold some money or something aside, 10% for the big guy. Who is the big guy?
Well, people, of course, are assuming that is Vice President Biden. And, of course, there's a completely different computer now with different emails. This is a computer from one of the Devon Archer's co-conspirators in this Indian or this tribal bond fraud. This man, together with Archer Devon, was convicted. He's sitting in jail. Archer Devon, oddly enough, his jury conviction was overturned by a judge who just happens to be married to one of the members of the Mueller special counsel team that was the lead prosecutor in the Paul Manafort trial. So there's some amazing connections here. But again, what we're finding is we're finding more and more validation that these emails are true. So you got one of the recipients on that email chain has told Fox News that, yeah, that's a true email. Now, these other emails that Breitbart's breaking from Bevan Cooney is the co-conspirator, the man who's in jail right now. It's totally separate email server, totally separate emails that also are starting to paint a picture of the corruption, the vast web of connections that Hunter Biden, his firms, Devon Archer were involved in. This requires serious investigation, and the fact that the mainstream media is suppressing this information from the American public is a scandal in and of itself.
Yeah, that is one of the most important parts of this scandal, the fact that the mainstream media and social media are hiding information from the American public about payments to a major presidential candidate's son. And they're hiding that 16 days before the election. I agree with you. Senator, I want you to connect the dots for us in terms of national security risks. That's why you started this investigation in the first place, to check for any national security threats. Are there national security
remember,
issues?
Everybody justifying the investigation, the false allegations against the Trump campaign was, can you imagine the national security threat, the threat of blackmail against the sitting president if these connections are true? Well, take whatever was alleged that was proven false against President Trump and multiply that by orders of magnitude of just what we've scratched the surface in terms of uncovering of this vast web of connections with Chinese nationals, ties to the Chinese Communist Party, the People's Liberation Army. I said that our report raised far more questions than it answered. This requires detailed investigations on the part of the Justice Department, on the part of the FBI, on the part of the media, and that's not occurring. So why is this being covered up? Why is this not being talked about? This is a major news story because if you have all these vast webs, all these connections, this could be used as blackmail against a potential Biden presidency far in excess of anything that was ever alleged against Donald Trump.
Now, Senator, real quick, what is going to be coming out in the coming weeks? We understand here on Sunday Morning Futures there is more to come, and there is further analysis of the subpoena's handwriting, and it suggests that the subpoena was served by an FBI agent his name is Joshua Wilson, and over the last 5 years, he has been working on child pornography issues. Connect the dots. If an FBI agent is working on child pornography issues for 5 years, why is he subpoenaing the laptop of Hunter Biden? Is there a connection here? Should this suggest that there's a child pornography issue here on that laptop?
Well, I think you just made the connection. Again, this is what the FBI, I think, has to come clean about. This isn't a standard investigation where, the FBI doesn't indict somebody, that everything remains confidential. This is something that, as we were talking about, relates to national security. And if there's criminal activity involved that could be tied to Hunter Biden or his business associates, or even possibly tied back to other members of the Biden family, and as some of these emails indicate, that Joe Biden was fully aware of this. He was taking his 10% cut or requiring 50% from his family member's salary. This needs to be known before Americans go to the polls. So
was the FBI agent who served the subpoena investigating child pornography, Senator?
Well, you just read the news report. I can't comment any further. I don't want to speculate other than to say that what I said publicly before, our report uncovered so many troubling connections, so many things that need to be investigated, that I really think we're just scratching the surface. And yes, I've heard all kinds of things that I think will probably be revealed over the next few days. There's a treasure trove of emails and video and pictures in not only the purported computer of Hunter Biden, but now we've got the co-conspirator, Bevan Cooney, that also starting to reveal information. I guess we're probably going to just find more information every day over the next couple of weeks.
And real quick, just to be clear, there are 3 laptops in question, correct? There's one from Archer, one from Hunter Biden, and one from Hunter Biden's psychiatrist?
Well, that's another one of those rumors swirling that we're trying to get to the bottom of. It's one of the things we're trying to ask from the FBI. How many computers does the federal law enforcement have in their possession? I think the federal government really needs, or I think the FBI really has to be honest with us in terms of what it possesses and what it's done with what it's possessed.
All right, Senator, thanks very much for your work. We will keep following this. Senator Ron Johnson, breaking news this morning. We will see you soon, sir. Coming up, House